Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wallner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wallner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wallner.
Good day, families, and welcome home. That's right, my name is Dr. Kyle, and this is the Empowering MFW family, and we are so glad to be with you today. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you for tuning in. The health of you and your family is your number one priority. It is your greatest asset. The best way to have a healthy family is by living a family wellness lifestyle. So, if you're looking for efficient, effective, and sustainable ways to elevate your health and the health of your family, then I strongly recommend you make yourself comfortable because we have an amazing show for you today. Debbie is a scalar energy and wellness coach. After working in corporate America for 25 years, she now teaches nationwide about what has become the asbestos of the 21st century, electric smog. She also serves on the board of directors for the Energy Medicine Research Institute in Birmingham, Michigan. Having suffered from arthritis and severe neck and upper back pain for 20 years, Debbie went searching for an alternative solution to alleviate her symptoms other than the standard drug care. After being introduced to the scalar energy technology and becoming pain and drug-free just after 2 months, Debbie is now dedicated to helping people get and stay grounded, increase their stamina, endurance, strength, and have increased focus and energy. Her goal is to help people everywhere create optimal health for themselves and their loved ones. All right, families, let's jump into today's episode. Good day, families. Welcome to today's episode. My name is Dr. Kyle. I am so excited to be with Debbie Garcia today. We just heard a little bit about Debbie from her bio, but Debbie, it's so exciting to be with you. Thank you so much for coming on the platform today. And tell you what, let's go ahead and bring Debbie on here. We're going to go ahead and introduce Debbie formally. So there she is. Wonderful. And then Debbie, good morning. One thing we always start off with our podcast here with our episodes is just learning more about our guests. So tell us a little bit what family looks like for you and what do you love about Michigan?
Oh, Dr. Kyle, family's everything. I mean, it's the heart of the home. I think it is probably first and foremost the important thing in my life. It is my anchor. I have a small family. I just have one son and my husband and 2 brothers and 1 living parent, but they're paramount in my life. So it's just always having each other's back, always being there for their support. They always have me, I have them, and we're always here to support each other and just take care of each other and lift each other up. And that's the most important thing to me. You know, they are my number one priority next to my faith. And as far as what I love about Michigan, I love pretty much, I'm going to be honest, everything about Michigan except the winter.
Awesome.
It's not my favorite season. You don't know, or maybe you do know, but I grew up in Royal Oak. And I love the Midwestern values that were instilled in me. I had a wonderful childhood. I still have many friends from elementary school through high school that I still keep in contact with and see when I come back to Michigan. I spend usually at least 2 months a year. I live in California, but I spend at least 2 months a year in the Royal Oak area and visiting people. I've had the opportunity to meet several practitioners and holistic people that I work with and have developed wonderful relationships with. So I pretty much think I have 1 foot in Michigan and 1 foot in California at all times.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Debbie. I couldn't agree more about just the value of family and faith and just pairing that with the love for Michigan. And it's really nice to have, like you said, another foot in a warmer state, especially for this time of year.
Yeah, if I could live there between May and October, I would.
Awesome. Well, tell you what, I am so excited to talk everything EMFs and scalar energy with you today. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it because this is a big topic of discussion. I think a lot of people have been somewhat aware of this for a couple of years now. But as we've talked before, even in our pre-chat show here, the research is starting to really catch up with the biological effects, the effects on our bodies as it relates to all of these frequencies that surround us that we're just living in, constantly sleeping in, and how that relates to our health and how that can be an adverse effect to our health. So I just want to kind of cue people up in terms of our discussion, in terms of what we'll be talking about. But for example, when people spend a day at the beach, like in the summer, they typically put on sunscreen. So that's usually like a cultural thing. I think a lot of people understand that, but we kind of want to get into like, why do we do that? Because there is this radiation from the sun. And I think a lot of people can chew on that and digest that and get that idea, if you will. Another analogy or another example I like to use is if you ever have gone in for an x-ray. So we deal a lot with x-rays here at the office with chiropractic care. The technicians are usually using shielding, or they should be using shielding, on certain parts of your body. So they're giving you like these lead things that you can lay over, whether it be your chest or your abdomen or your reproductive areas, because that X-ray beam is ionizing radiation and can have adverse effects if you have a large dose of X-rays into your body. Another quick example here, Debbie, is if people have ever seen the Ocean's 11 movie. So with a couple famous actors here that I'm blanking on right now, but so they use an electromagnetic pulse to shut down Las Vegas so they can break into the casino. So I just want people to kind of wrap their minds around there is this reality of electromagnetic frequency out there. And I wanted to bring you on the show today to talk about what is all this? And let's first start by talking about what is the problem? Is there a problem? And why does this matter? Why is this even an issue?
Well, it definitely is a problem. And these electromagnetic frequencies, or I've heard it actually dubbed as the electro-smog and the asbestos of the 21st century from many scientists and researchers. What these frequencies are doing is they're affecting our body's biofield and our body's physiological systems all the way down to a cellular level. And there's been many studies that have proven over the years of research that's been done. For instance, back in the 1990s, there was two doctors, Lai and Singh, out of the University of Washington, that did a study on rats. And they actually, they just wanted to see if these electromagnetic frequencies were affecting the DNA of the rats. And so what they did was over 2 hours a day, over a period of time, they were exposing these rats to fluorescent light bulbs, just the low frequencies of a fluorescent light bulb. And they proved that it broke through the DNA strands and the blood-brain barrier of the rats. And unfortunately, back in the 1994 to 98, there was a study done by the cell phone industry that they agreed not to be regulated. So Congress was involved with this, and the Federal Department of Health and Safety was involved. And they hired a Dr. Carlo to do a 5-year study. And this was replicated. They had over 200 scientists involved, 200 researchers involved in this study to see if these man-made frequencies were, affecting the human body and affecting our health. And of course, they weren't really expecting, I don't think at that time, to find anything wrong. And we were in the second generation, which was 2G back in the 90s. So now we're into 5G. And what they actually found was that it was devastating to the body, and that it was breaking through and causing damage to our cells. And Dr. Carlo actually stated that the non-thermal effects that had been observed actually made the government safety's health standards irrelevant at that time. So they've known for many, many years that these frequencies are harming our bodies. There's man-made frequencies and there's the natural frequencies, the natural electromagnetic frequencies, like what you were talking about earlier. That's like what's coming from the sun. That's a natural electromagnetic frequency. The man-made frequencies are the frequencies that are coming from all of our devices, from all of our electrical systems in our home. For instance, we all have Wi-Fi routers for the most part in our home. We all have televisions. Most homes have microwave ovens. A lot of women use a hair blower to blow dry their hair. We all have cell phone devices pretty much now, even from young kids or tablets that they play on, or gaming, handheld gaming systems. We have laptops, we have desktop computers. All of these devices generate these man-made frequencies. So to your point, as you put it, we're living in it. It's like a bowl of soup. We're living and existing in these frequencies in our homes. We can't go anywhere without being affected to them. We can't turn on our car and turn on our car radio without having these frequencies, coming at us. We can't walk into a bank or a store or anywhere without this technology being there. So it's a cumulative effect, and it does become more and more harmful over time. It's been proven linked to cause cancer. We know that for a fact. It's been linked to children with ADD and ADHD and Alzheimer's. There's the research is there. You just have to look for it. It's been proven. We know that they're harmful, but it's not going anywhere. We're not going to give up our cell phones. Let's face it. We're not going to give up our televisions. We're not going to give up our technology. So the whole idea is that we want to protect ourselves. We want to do everything we can to protect ourselves in the best way possible.
I remember you mentioning that even some testing for 6G and beyond is going on right now. Those satellites are going up into.
Right.
So yes, it's not like it's going to be over with 5G. There's going to be more frequencies. Things are essentially only going to get worse, so to speak, unless there is public outcry from consumers who are aware of this kind of thing and actually demand reform that is ultimately better for our health. So many things all at once there, Debbie. Thank you so much. I just want to cycle back briefly and just reiterate that, yes, there are some native EMF frequencies that come from the earth that are really helpful for our bodies. Like we talk about grounding. We talk about that. I love stepping outside after a spring rain, just the smell of the negative ions in the air, that fresh, clean. Yeah. So those negative ions are just so healthy for us. However, to your point, when we are constantly exposed to our cell phones, our tablets, our laptop computers, microwaves, it's that constant exposure. Again, our body is really only designed to handle short periods of a stressor, for example. So I talk about this a lot with our patients here at the office. So that sympathetic response, if you will, that fight or flight. But when you have that constant exposure to a stressor, it does affect your body adversely over time. And so that's what we're talking about here, is this constant exposure to whether it be EMRs or EMFs. And to your point, we need to be mindful about how to shield our body, how to protect ourselves, and even taking that a step further to those of our loved ones, to those around us. So again, as a chiropractor, this makes so much to me, because what we're doing is we're working with the spine. We're actually putting a frequency, if you will, into someone's spinal system and improving their neurologic function, their voltage, if you will. I often use the example of your breaker box at home or your fuse box at home. Fuses, we don't really have fuses much anymore, but your breaker box, right? So if you have a breaker that goes out or a fuse that goes out, you want to go check your breaker box and make sure that everything is in the on position, right? So you might toggle it off and then put it back on. So that's often my analogy for chiropractic, is we want to make sure that your power is on. We want to make sure that your brain can communicate better with your body so that you can heal yourself from the inside out. And what I'm finding here more often than not, Debbie, you mentioned a few chronic health conditions there, or some pretty serious health conditions. You talk about cancer, fibromyalgia, just a lot of chronic issues that are going on with people, even metabolic syndrome, which is one of the most common things here in our current culture. When we have these chronic health conditions and people are doing diet and exercise and they're trying everything out there, they may be not addressing this electrical component. So I really want to make people aware that this is a big issue. You talked about cancer there. I have a note here in front of me from the World Health Organization. This is going all the way back to 2011, how the EMFs are a class 2B. So they're saying that cell phones might very well cause cancer. classifying radio EMFs as possibly carcinogenic to humans. So that is staggering. And again, that's going on 10 years ago now, back in
Right.
2011.
Well, it's true. And that kind of goes back to the study that Dr. Carlo did back in the 90s. I mean, it was proven that it is carcinogenic to the human body. And, unfortunately, some of those studies got buried because the telecommunication industry is a multi-billion dollar industry. So America seems to, unfortunately, a lot of times put profit over the health and well-being of its citizens. And there are a lot of countries, you talked about the public outcry. That's very true. And there has been a lot of doctors and researchers that have come forward and have tried to expose these dangers here in the United States. And a lot of time, it unfortunately gets met on deaf ears or it gets shut down. But there are several countries that are putting a stop to this, like Brussels has put a stop to 5G. A lot of the European nations, like a lot of counties in Ireland and the United Kingdom and even Russia, have put a halt to the installation of these 5G towers because the 5G is actually 700 times stronger than the earlier generations of the cell phones and the technology that came out back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So you look at that, and that's really quite profound.
This podcast is brought to you by Michigan Family Wellness, where we believe in helping families live thriving, vibrant lives. With the right guidance, your body has the ability to respond and adapt to the challenges in your life so that you can be healthy. At Michigan Family Wellness, we build resiliency solutions through our proven framework and empower you to become the best version of yourself. Contact us at 734-335-0533 with any questions, or go online and schedule an appointment at michiganfamilywellness.com and start your path towards better health today.
We're going to put that chart actually on the website for today's podcast episode. So you guys, if you want to check that out, head over to michiganfamilywellness.com and look at that chart that shows, like what Debbie's talking about here, those early generations of the original cell phone frequencies and how it is exponentially increased to what it is today with 5G. And again, it's just like all this extra dose is not ultimately helping us. This is a big problem. And so we want to talk about today about some practical solutions for what we can do about that, of course. But before we get that, let's further jump into some things here. So Debbie, I've heard people say that they don't really believe in this stuff, or that this whole
absolutely.
EMF thing is fake, or they don't believe, like I even hear people say they don't believe in chiropractic. So sometimes what I often respond with is like, that's fine. You don't have to believe in it. Like, it doesn't really require belief, if you will, because neither EMFs or chiropractic require faith, if you will. Like, they're not a religion. In just the same that gravity exists, like if you jump off a building or if you jump off a cliff, gravity is going to work. You don't have to believe in it. So if you're listening to my voice today and you're on the skeptical side of all this, because it does take some understanding, it does take some initial reactions. So I just want to ask you guys some questions about like kind of what we were talking about at the top of our episode here. So when you go outside or when you go to the beach for the day, you're applying sunscreen onto your body, or typically people are. We understand that if we stay outside too long in the sun, that has a tendency to increase our risk to develop skin cancers and all other issues with our skin in that sense. So Debbie earlier talked about that rat study, which makes me think of a similar phenomenon with desk jockeys or people who work in office buildings with no windows, no natural light. I love my office space here. I got lots of natural light coming in, but they're always under these fluorescent lights and they feel awful and their health is just terrible because they're always sitting and they're under these fluorescent lights all day. So that kind of makes you wonder, like, why is that? Again, so it's the frequencies. If people understand how a microwave works, like you're heating water molecules if you've ever used a microwave. So again, if you subscribe to the science that is microwaves, then you do believe in EMFs. And so something else that I kind of chuckle about, or I think to myself, is if you really think that this EMF stuff is baloney, and I want to get to your point with this here, Debbie, too, about your son, I'll say to people like, when's the last time you held your phone up to your head and were on a phone call for like an hour or even longer, or even just 5 or 10 minutes? And then like, how do you feel after that? Some people say, I have a headache now, or I just feel sluggish and like I have brain fog, or, it's really not a good thing to have your phone anywhere on your body, really. But you see people all the time that, they put it in their pockets, they're putting it in near their pelvis, near their reproductive organs. Women, they'll stick it in their bra, people holding it to their ear for long periods of time. So Debbie, I wanted to ask you about that little experimental study you did. Actually, I believe it was with thermography in your son. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, yes, we actually had thermography is a heat generated imaging system. If anybody has had that done, or if you don't know what it is, I highly recommend it, especially for your well woman exam, because it's been proven that thermography can detect cancer, breast cancer in women up to 10 years before regular mammography.
Yes.
But that what we'll do is we can have these images, these thermal images taken of the human body that shows what's healthy, what parts of your body are emitting a lot of radiation and a lot of inflammation. And it goes by colors. So the red is the inflammation, the yellow is the radiation, and you can see that. So it's really interesting to have done, to see the different studies that are done on that. But one of the things that we did with using a scalar pendant, because we're talking about using the scalar products to reduce inflammation and radiation in the body, we did a before image with him, and then we had him go sit in the lobby of the practitioner's office and put his scalar pendant on for 20 minutes. And I said, okay, come back in and we're going to take another image. And it was profound in such a short amount of time, the amount of inflammation and radiation that was reduced in the body. And then we did a separate study, or a separate imaging system session with him with the cell phone. So we had him on a live cell phone call. And I was calling him from my phone, and we didn't have a scalar shield. He didn't have his pendant on. He had no protection on. And his brain was lit up like, I don't know, red and yellow. And we just put a shield on, a scalar shield on his phone. And we had a short time frame, so we only had a few minutes to let it imprint on the phone. And we did another image, and the reduction again was greatly reduced.
Awesome.
And so when you talk about that, about people that don't believe it, that's very true. And I was a skeptic at first too. And, 11 years ago, when people were, my girlfriend had brought this technology to me and was actually trying to explain to me what EMFs were, and the fact that, yes, my cell phone was hurting me, I didn't believe it. But as I started researching it and finding the actual studies, then I became a believer.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. So Debbie, you did mention there, and I want to talk more about this too, so our listeners are fully on track with us here. So, we've been talking about everything with the EMFs and the radiation here, both natural and not so natural. And so you had mentioned something there that I want to help people understand too. You talked about scalar energy. So let's try to define that for our listeners today as well. So help us understand what regular energy, or like standard, if you want to call it like a sine, linear energy is. And then tell us more about what is scalar, and then how does scalar actually help our body? Hey guys, just wanted to take a moment and remind you that this podcast is brought to you by the Michigan Family Wellness Clinic. We believe in healthy, vibrant families who can adapt to the stress in their life. In order to build a healthy family, we start by caring for one person at a time. If this message resonates with you, then I invite you to schedule an online appointment at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. Hey, and if you're enjoying today's episode, go ahead and share this podcast with someone else who can benefit from today's empowering conversation. All right, guys, let's get back to today's episode.
Well, most energy, you have linear and Hertzian frequencies. And scalar energy is a different animal. It's a field frequency. So to put it in simple terms, it's when two identical waves come together and they cancel each other out. And they emit this field of 0 point or scalar energy that resonates out around us. And that's what that scalar energy, when you're in that field, it is keeping you grounded all the time. And it is helping to put your body almost in a cocoon of protection of not allowing the harmful effects from the electromagnetic frequencies to affect your body's cells and affect your body's biofield. So it's just a wonderful way that the scalar products are actually comprised of 76 minerals with volcanic lava that was extracted from the crust. It's Japanese technology. And depending on the product, we can see what kind of field it resonates. The cell phone shields, for instance, will resonate a 4-foot field of energy around the device. The scalar pendant, which I know you wear, Dr. Kyle, can resonate up to 16 to 20-foot field. And that's what we can see using different types of photography images. There's Japanese technology. Normal photography can't capture that, but there are technologies available to capture that field of energy.
Wait, hold on one second, Debbie. You're talking Japanese lava here. Why can't I get my American lava pendant?
Oh, okay. Well, everything that I have is from quantum science. It is Japanese technology.
Yeah, I'm just making a joke.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, there are the fakes. We have been knocked off. We have been replicated.
That is a good point.
And unfortunately, you can find those on Amazon for really inexpensive. I wouldn't recommend purchasing one of those.
Yeah, let's touch on that here in a second as well. And again, thank you, Debbie. Like, that commentary was brilliant. I do want to submit a resource to people. Again, you'll find this at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. You'll find a link to it on today's website episode. So this is called the Barron Report. I want to quote specifically from the Barron Report, if I could here for a moment. Let me just pull this up here real quick. So again, this is going back to defining scalar, because I think this is key. I really want people to understand this, because it does make a big difference. And to your point, Debbie, this does differentiate the authentic, or those real McCoys, from the the inauthentic, or the stuff that don't waste your money on, that kind of thing. Okay, so what is scalar? I believe this is the second page here. I want to read this verbatim because this is so great. So the standard definition of scalar waves is that they are created by a pair of identical, like you said, or replicant waves, usually called the wave and its anti-wave, that are in phase, scroll up to the top, spatially, but out of phase temporally. Okay, so they're in phase spatially, but they're out of phase temporally. Okay, that is to say, the two waves are physically identical, but 180 degrees out of phase in terms of time. So this does get into some heavy physics here. I don't even fully comprehend all of the physics and all of the special Maxwell equations here on the chart. However, this does, you have to have a grasp of what's going on that mechanistic level to really be able to be confident in what you're using. So let's continue. The net result is that scalar waves are a whole different animal from normal Hertzian waves, like you said. They even look different, like an infinity projected Mobius pattern on an axis. Okay, so what we're saying here, everyone who's listening, is that by exposing your body to this scalar frequency, this is what helps buffer, shield, protect your body from all of the aberrant frequencies that you're exposed to coming in. Anything to add to that, Debbie? Is that a fair explanation?
That's very well, very, very well put, and a great explanation of it.
Sure.
And actually, James Clerk Maxwell was the mathematician that proposed the theory of scalar energy, but Nikola Tesla is really the father of scalar energy. He was the first scientist that picked up Maxwell's writings and actually proved it and was able to harness scalar energy using a transmitter. And at one point, he wanted to bring scalar energy to the world as a free source of energy. And again, money, it couldn't be monetized. Or they couldn't figure out a way to monetize it. So that didn't happen. And we since have electricity rather than scalar as a way to light up our homes and to power our devices.
So Debbie, let me ask you more about this scalar energy here, because again, this is what really makes all the difference here. So when we talk about scalar energy, we've just defined it for everyone. Now let's talk about its attributes or its characteristics. And so again, if you really dig into that Barron report, which we'll link to in the show notes for today's episode, let's talk about how this improves or helps to preserve your DNA. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, because it's offering the protection of not allowing those electromagnetic frequencies to permeate your cells.
Mm-hmm.
It really is buffering your DNA. We know that scalar energy imprints on everything that it comes in contact with.
Right.
So it's been proven to actually attach itself to the hydrogen bonds of your DNA strands and improve your immune system up to 149%. So right there, that's key. We know that it reduces inflammation in the body. And I know that you see a ton of that as a chiropractor because you have patients coming in, I'm sure quite often. As to how I first started seeing a chiropractor, I was involved in car accidents. So I was rear-ended and I had whiplash injuries. And resulting from that, you get a lot of inflammation and body spasms. The scalar energy reduces the inflammation within the body. And that was huge for me. Between that and between seeing the chiropractor, it totally changed my life. And I've been seeing a chiropractor now for, over 30 years. Religiously.
Awesome.
So as needed. Yeah. I mean, I can't say enough about you. You guys kept me going. I was in several car accidents in a very short period of time for some reason, but scalar energy also, it helps unclump the blood cells. So that's what you want. We want to have free flowing blood cells throughout our system, no stacking, no clumping, because that is where you have optimal health. And that is how your body can continually allow itself to do what it was created to do and to heal itself. And I've proven that with myself. I've had my blood analyzed 5 years ago at the cancer show. I had a doctor there that was doing blood analysis, and he did the draw and he put it up, and he put my results up, and you could see my cells on the screen. And I was amazed that, at my age, I was 60 at the time, that I had zero clumping of cells. All my cells were just moving around, free flowing, just beautiful. And he's looking at me and goes, "Well, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you what I'm doing." So we got into that. And actually, scalar energy helps alkaline the body more naturally. And that's key because we have to be a balance of alkalinity and acidity within the body, as you know, but you want to be higher on the alkaline scale, because the higher you are on the alkaline scale, the less chance you have of disease and illnesses to invade the body. And so it does so many things. Scalar energy has so many health benefits to it, as well as that EMF protection.
Brilliant. Couldn't agree more. And again, like you mentioned, Debbie, I've been wearing the scalar pendant myself for almost about a month or two now. It's been quite a few weeks in a row here. And to your point, I can definitely feel it was almost an immediate difference when I started feeling like this voltage increase or this insulation electrically, if you will. Right. And I'm sleeping better and my digestion is better, and I just feel more charged, if you will, and more resilient to the stress around me. I want to go back to what you were saying about the DNA and the hydrogen bonds there. And again, quoting from the Barron report, the covalent hydrogen bonds are what hold our DNA together, okay? So by consuming the scalar energy, or by having it in your field, having it on your chest, for example, let's even touch on that as well. This actually helps improve your DNA. So Debbie, tell us why. I saw this on your website. So you recommend wearing the pendant on the front of your chest below your collarbone because that's right in front of your thymus, correct?
Right, correct.
Right. So tell us why that's
close to the heart.
Yes.
It's right the center of the body. It's right at the heart of the body. So for me, that's where I always recommend wearing it. But there are many people that do not like to wear jewelry. Like, for instance, my dad, he's 85, 86 now, and he's never worn jewelry. So I'm like, okay, put it in your pocket. As long as it's on your body, you're covered. You're going to have the health benefits and you're going to have that protection. You can also, I have a lot of women that stick it in their bra. Because they don't, if they buy the regular quantum lava pendant, it is a black rock, so to speak. And if you're dressed up or you want to be professional, you're not always going to want to have that showing. You can always tuck it in your shirt, but a lot of women even put it in their bra. I have, for instance, welders, professions that cannot wear jewelry for work for safety reasons. And so I have several welders that I have sold pendants to that will stick it inside their sock and then, put their boots on, their work boots on, over their socks. And so, as long as it's on your body, it doesn't really matter. And I would like to circle back a little bit and touch on what you said about feeling the energy from the cell voltage. Scalar energy actually does raise the cell voltage, and healthy cells, we are an electrical being. So healthy cells usually work at like 70 to 90 millivolts, generate a charge of 70 to 90 millivolts. But as we age, or if we have poor diet, or we suffer trauma to the body, or we have disease, and that goes down. And like, for instance, cancer patients, sometimes their cell voltage goes, 20, 10, 20, 30 millivolts. So the scalar energy over time is raising gradually that each cell's voltage in your body. And with over 30 trillion cells in our body, that's a big plus to have that, because that's just going to be able to allow your body all the good things that you do: chiropractic care, good nutrition, good water, whatever you're doing, exercise to help your body. This is just going to help expedite that process by wearing a scalar product.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So again, continuing with the narrative of our episode today here. So, okay, if this EMF stuff is really all not good for me, so let's say you're subscribing to that truth, if you will. So let's talk a little bit more through some practical solutions, just some simple things that the everyday person can do with regards to, let's just say, their environment, like decreasing their dose, if you will, or their exposure to all of these electromagnetic frequencies. One of my favorites is I encourage people to, again, here's the thing about Wi-Fi and internet. Internet's useful. Like, I'll be honest, like we're using internet right now to do this episode, and Wi-Fi is super useful, especially for all our devices. However, when we're sleeping, it's like, do you really need all of your bandwidth when you're sleeping at night from however many hours you get to sleep at night? So I encourage people to actually turn their Wi-Fi off at night. A simple solution would be to take a old-fashioned timer, or like I think of like the timer for your Christmas lights, stuff like that, and just put that on your wireless router. And then just set it for, the hours you go to bed and then the hours you wake up. It's just so that you're not getting that dose of Wi-Fi during your sleep. So have you heard of things like that before, Debbie?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that you can do to mitigate your exposure, like you said, turning off the Wi-Fi. I know of some people that go so far as unplugging every appliance in their home, unplugging their TVs and making sure their computers are powered down.
Debbie, so I know we've talked about how we can further improve our home environment from EMFs and EMRs and everything we've been talking about here today. What is something that we can do to help really insulate our entire home, all the electrical wiring of our entire home, of our entire house, and really have the best environment as possible with regards to EMFs and scalar energy here?
Well, we do have what we call a whole house neutralizer plug. And you can plug that into any outlet, and it actually neutralizes all the harmful effects of anything going through your electrical system. So that includes your smart meters, your Wi-Fi routers, your TVs, your appliances in your home, your lighting system, anything that you have plugged in, like I was saying before, the hair dryer, whatever you're using, it completely nullifies those harmful effects from those electromagnetic frequencies up to 5,000 square feet. So we actually had the University of California, Irvine do the American testing for us back in like 11 years ago now. And they're the ones that verified up to the 5,000 square feet. So that encompasses most homes and a lot of businesses. And the reason that you're going to want to have that is your kids now, especially now we have children at home that are homeschooling due to COVID. So they're on computers, they're on these devices 24/7. Not 24/7, but they're on it a lot between, schooling and whatever playtime that they may have if they're playing games or whatever. We need to have those devices neutralized. If you've got them plugged in, they're being taken care of. The other thing that happens is, we have all of our household pets, and so many people I talk to really will spend more money on their pets than
Yes.
they will on themselves, right? There are babies, there are fur babies, whether they're cat, dog, bunny, rabbit, it doesn't matter, even reptiles. There are pets. So the statistics are 50% of all household pets die of cancer. And I'm sure part of it has to do with the food and the quality of water and things, that they're being ingesting. But a huge component of that is these electromagnetic frequencies that we're in the soup in our own home, they're in the soup in our home. So they're being affected by, these frequencies, and they really can't probably counteract those effects as easily as the human body. So just having that plug in your home and knowing that your pets are protected too, that's a game changer too for a lot of household families. They look at that and go, yes, I want that because of that. So there's a lot of benefits to the plug.
Tremendous. Yeah. So for people to really grasp this from, just listening to us talk about it. So imagine just this plug. It's a 3-prong plug. So it is grounded, but it has the scalar energy innately inside of it or innately charged with it. You plug this into any electrical outlet that's in your house, right? You plug it in, and then that scalar energy or that information or that scalar wave is then going through your house, like you said, up to 5,000 square feet. So if you've got a huge house, if you've got more than 5,000 square feet, then you might need more than one.
I've only had to sell 2 one time.
Sure. Yeah. But then to your point, so then you're actually improving the electrical environment. You're insulating yourself from dirty electricity. You're protecting every room. You talk about your kids, your pets, babies, all your family members, because again, to your point, we're all home now because of this pandemic, because of COVID. We're on Zoom, we're online with school, we're doing FaceTimes, everything is in front of a screen. And so we really need that extra protection at home.
And that's a great way to do it. And then when you have a personal piece, it's the added protection, but the personal piece that you're wearing whenever you're outside the home, you're always protected. So between those two, you really can't go wrong.
This podcast is brought to you by Michigan Family Wellness, where we believe in helping families live thriving, vibrant lives. With the right guidance, your body has the ability to respond and adapt to the challenges in your life so that you can be healthy. At Michigan Family Wellness, we build resiliency solutions through our proven framework and empower you to become the best version of yourself. Contact us at 734-335-0533 with any questions, or go online and schedule an appointment at michiganfamilywellness.com and start your path towards better health today.
Forgive me, I'm going to go through some rapid fire suggestions here because I want to run through these real quick and then get to some other really good, awesome things about everything scalar for our listeners. So briefly, I encourage people to, like we were talking about, keep your cell phone off your body, use AirPods, use headphones, even use some kind of Bluetooth thing so that you're not holding your phone by your head all of the time. We talked about how your son, you did that thermography study with him. So there's proof there. I tell people to get rid of blue light. A lot of phones these days, they have the night mode or they have the yellow screen mode that I highly recommend. Blue light is very stimulating to your nervous system, which can interfere with your sleep and a lot of hormonal things. So I tell people get the blue blocking glasses that are available right now. Use those, especially when we're always on Zoom calls for school and work these days. I even tell people to look into the red glasses or like the rose-colored glasses because the red frequency of light is very calming for our nervous system. So I recommend people that. Dirty electricity. So if you have faulty electrical wiring coming into your house, smart meters, even these new smart appliances that utilize Wi-Fi, all of this stuff, guys, is increasing your dose and adding to your environmental dose of EMF, EMR frequencies. One final thing that I'm really excited about, I want to get into this myself and try it out, is actually clothing that can be protective on the electromagnetic frequency. So I know we were talking about this in our pre-chat, but it's called lambs, Lambs, like a sheep, lambs clothing. And this actually, what they claim is that this creates a Faraday cage. So for people who don't know what a Faraday cage is, a Faraday cage, going back all the way to Michael Faraday from 1836, is going to block all electromagnetic frequencies coming in contact with the cage. So what they do is they add silver to their clothing. So I have a note here. It says it is 39% silver, 44% cotton, and 17% nylon. That's for their men's shirt there. So I would encourage people to check out the Lamb's clothing if they want to actually create a Faraday cage, actually use more of the environment in terms of blocking and shielding themselves from things like that. We can talk all day long for hours about geopathic stress, different things coming through the Earth's floor, creating chaotic energy that can be disruptive towards the body. But I do want to get over to what we were addressing at one point there, Debbie, was how it really is buyer beware when it comes to a lot of this stuff, which is not unusual. I mean, I would say that's just like anything else. What you want to make sure is you're getting the real McCoy. Like, you want to make sure that you're actually using a scalar device or a scalar product that is actually the real deal. So can you talk more about what makes this stuff the real deal and why people should be very discerning about what they use with regards to their EMF shielding and protection?
Sure. Well, like I said, quantum science was established about 35 years ago. We are currently in about 75 countries. And the scientist that developed our products, when he went searching for the right quality and the right composition of lava and minerals to emit the scalar field, he was very discerning. They went to actually checked out 5 mountains, and they found that they could extract the material from 2 specific mountains to formulate and use nanotechnology to fabricate the scalar products. And because they are so effective, and just like anything else that's very effective and works, we will have knockoffs, so to speak. So there are a lot of products that you can find. Our quantum lava pendant retails normally for $150. The one thing I can say, it's a one-time purchase. We have a lifetime warranty on the energy. It is never going to dissipate. It will only get stronger on your body over time. And that's key. So this is a product that you can buy. You're not going to have to replace it. I tell people, you can will it to your grandkids if you want.
So I don't have to charge this. I don't have to
No. The only thing that you're going to want to, the only thing I would say is, especially for the men, like my son, and I'm sure you like to wear it tucked in underneath your shirt, and you probably might work out in it, sweat in it, be outside in it. So your body oils are going to get attached to it. Just every once in a while, once a month, just take it off, clean it in some sea salt and warm water, kind of use a cloth, brush it off, get those oils off. And that's really all the maintenance it needs. You can put it in the sun. That's always wonderful too, to help, give it a little more oomph. But the things, unfortunately, the products, most of them, it's kind of buyer beware on Amazon. If you see a pendant and they have them that look like ours,
right? They're
coming from China for $20. They're coming from China. They're synthetic, and they're actually been tested to emit a lot of radiation. So I tell people, if you don't want to buy mine, I'd rather you didn't buy anything than going to Amazon to search for something.
Right.
In this particular field.
Totally get it. In terms of, okay, so let's say you're wearing the pendant or you're wearing anything else that's available, and you're feeling pretty good. You're seeing some improvement. Maybe some chronic health issues are going away, or you're not getting as many headaches. You're sleeping better, things like this. Can you talk about the dosage? So if one pendant is good, is 2 better? Like, can you overdose on this, or can you be wearing too much scalar, or is there a titration thing here to consider as well?
No, you can't overdose on it. I have a lot of customers that will often wear a pendant and a bracelet. I do that. I like jewelry. I love to wear jewelry. So I typically will have a pendant on and a bracelet at all times. But one, you don't need to. One is sufficient. I always tell people, we have several options on the website. Buy what you're going to wear. It doesn't do you any good if you're going to purchase something and wear it for a couple of days and maybe stick it in a jewelry box or take it off and put it on your nightstand. The whole goal is for you to have something that is aesthetically pleasing to you and something that you are going to want to wear on a regular basis, to have that protection, to be afforded the health benefits.
Awesome. And you tell people, and I've recommended to people here as well, wear this when you shower, wear this when you exercise, wear this when you sleep.
Right.
there's really not like a major reason to remove it other than, like you said, just for normal hygiene and cleaning, if you will. I love how
Right.
you don't have to recharge this. I love how, like you said, purchase it once, you can will it to your kids or give it to other people. It's just really a fantastic way to shield and guard yourself. Tell us more about specifically for your cell phone. I've been actually using this on my brand new, gosh, I almost feel hypocritical somewhat. I did get the iPhone 12 Pro, so it does have 5G. However, I do have my shield. Let's see if I can show it here. There's a little blip, in the case, so you can kind of see it there if you can see the blip. But yeah, so we do have the shield on the phone. Tell us more about the shields for your cell phone or your mobile device.
Well, the shields are a wonderful added protection. They're especially great to have for children, teenagers specifically, that aren't necessarily going to wear a piece of jewelry. I mean, they're just not going to. But also, all children, teenagers, even from a young age. I mean, even elementary school now, I see children with cell phones, 8, 9 years of age and up. And they're not going to wear a piece of jewelry. But at least if you put a shield on their phone, they're going to have that protection. And even with the boys, for instance, most men put their cell phones in their pocket, correct? That's where they carry it. It's in their pants pocket when they're, not on it or utilizing it. And we know it's already been linked to male infertility rates and low sperm counts. That's already been proven. And I typically, before COVID, I do several shows a year, cancer shows and health events. And I meet many, many young men now that are in their late 20s that are dealing with testicular cancer because they've had a cell phone since they were like 16, 17 years old, and they've been carrying it in their pocket for that many years. And now they're having the repercussions of having those frequencies constantly radiating that particular area of their body. We're seeing more and more cases of prostate cancer in young men. Prostate cancer years ago used to be something grandpa got, not young men. And we are now seeing more and more cases of prostate cancer in young men. And as your point, how you said a lot of young women stick it in their bras, we're seeing a lot more cases of breast cancer in young women because you've got these constant pulsating frequencies hitting that area of the body.
Couldn't agree more. So like we were saying earlier, guys, here, have your phone off your body as much as possible.
Yes.
Turn your Wi-Fi off at night. Consider using the shield, which is just a little circular disc that you put in between your phone and your case. A lot of people have a case on their phone, so you just slide it right between the phone and the case there as well. Again, if you get a new phone or if you get a new case, you can always kind of move the shield around there. But yeah, Debbie, thanks so much. This has been, again, we could talk for hours and hours about this really exciting reality here of the EMFs and the EMRs. But again, we've been talking a lot about the scalar products here. So in addition to those practical things that you guys can do at home to help decrease your dose on the individual level to aberrant EMFs and EMR frequencies, I did want to let people know that because you're listening to today's episode, we do have an exciting promotion just for our podcast listeners here today. So if you resonate with this science of shielding and guarding yourself from harmful EMFs, and you are interested in purchasing a quantum pendant or any other scalar product, then simply head over to MichiganFamilyWellness.com. Again, find that dedicated website for today's episode. There'll be a button right on that webpage there. You can click that button. It will go directly to the online store for all of the scalar and quantum energy products there. And you can purchase anything that meets your fancy. Again, we highly recommend the pendant. That seems to be a really great place for people to start. But like we said, there's the shields for your phone. There's the wristbands for your wrist. Whatever you'd like to get started with, it's going to be better than doing nothing. So let me go ahead and drop the promo code here for you guys. So if you type in Dr. K Podcast, so I'll articulate that further, just DRK Podcast, all one word, DRK Podcast, you'll go ahead and receive a 10% discount off of your order. Now, the thing of it is here, guys, that discount only applies until the end of February here, right, Debbie? So we're like, as soon as it turns March 1st, you're going to no longer have the option there to do the 10% off. So if you guys are like serious about this and you want to get 10% off here and you want to really take advantage and increase your health, again, you're not going to hurt yourself. Like this does not have any adverse health effects. You're only helping yourself by using the scalar energy products here and these quantum devices, again, to help decrease inflammation, protect your DNA, and shield you from harmful electromagnetic frequencies.
Yes, thank you for offering that promo. That's wonderful. It's a big incentive to people.
Yes, and thank you as well, Debbie. It's been fantastic having you on the podcast here today. We've talked so much about EMFs and electromagnetic frequencies here. I really think people have gotten some value from today's episode. So any final words of encouragement or anything that you really want to leave people with here today as a result of hearing your voice on today's episode?
I would just say, again, thank you for having me and for letting us get the word out on what the harmful effects are from these frequencies. And I'm just so happy to be able to offer a wonderful tool that can be a solution to protecting our body and protecting, again, your children, your household pets. We have products for everything, for everyone in your household. And I just would really encourage you to go on the website. There's a lot of documentation. There's a book on there on the healing benefits of scalar energy that you can peruse, and definitely feel free to shoot me an email or contact me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have and discuss any concerns that you may have. So I'm here for you whenever you need me.
Thanks so much, Debbie. Well, when you're back, Michigan side of things, we'll have to catch up and hang out and talk more about all of this. So thanks again for coming on the podcast today. We'll talk to you soon.
I will see you soon. Okay, thank you.
All right, families, what'd you think? We'd love to get your feedback. If you would like to email me about anything you've heard on this or any previous edition of the Family Wellness Lifestyle Podcast, you may do so by writing Dr. Kyle at MichiganFamilyWellness.com and take full advantage of the Family Lifestyle Audio Library at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. Connect with us on social media at Michigan Family Wellness. Thanks so much for tuning in, families. Have an awesome week, and remember, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart.
Now that you've been equipped with the latest in family wellness solutions, we want to encourage you to apply these strategies right away. But the thing is, there's still so much to learn. Connect with Dr. Wallner's Chiropractic and Nutrition Office by going to MichiganFamilyWellness.com and click the newsletter sign-up button to join the informative and supportive community of chiropractic wellness. You will also receive as a gift from Dr. Wallner a copy of Michigan Family Wellness Solutions, an invaluable resource containing dynamic tools to elevate family health and vitality. Michigan Family Wellness wants to thank you for being part of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and review.